Cape Town is so cheap, man. It's insane. My goal now at this stage is to spend between $150,000 to $200,000 a month. My house is 12,000 square feet. I have a steam room, sauna. I have a full home CrossFit gym. I have 2 security guards on rotation. I have a full-time chef who cooks me 3 meals a day. I have tried my best in Cape Town to spend more than $30,000 a month. I can't. I've tried. I go to every single restaurant. I try to look for the most expensive bottle of wine. I've never been able to find anything more than $100.
Hi, darling. Welcome back. Cape Town, the mother city. But it seems like mother is now prioritizing the visitors over her own children. So, in the recent years, we've seen a high influx of digital nomads to Cape Town, South Africa. According to Wikipedia, over 2.7 million passenger movements have been recorded, especially from international passengers, which is way higher than the movement of international passengers in 2018 and 2019. These are indicators of how much international communities are obviously drawn to South Africa, especially digital nomads. The problem here is, if we look at what's happening in Cape Town already, there's already a lot of structural issues that have not been sorted out yet. Like, guys, there's a housing crisis in Cape Town, especially if you want to be closer to the CBD. You will have to deal with a lot of housing issues. Like, I think a few years ago, there was even this issue whereby people were literally queues of over 30 people, queuing to view one apartment. That is how bad it is to find like good housing in Cape Town. Even affordable housing, we already know Cape Town is expensive, girl. So now we've added the digital nomads, and I'm worried. I'm worried because it's basically you have prioritized the visitors over the people who've been there for a while. You haven't sorted out the issues of Cape Townians, but according to the recent news, there's even a digital nomad week that's coming up this month. Even the digital nomad visa has been approved, which means digital nomads in South Africa get to spend a certain amount of time, I think 6 months, without paying taxes. And the countries we are talking about here are US citizens, European citizens, people from the UK. People have stronger currencies than ours, and peoples whose countries, for us as South Africans, it's so difficult to get their visas. It's so difficult to visit their countries. However, we make it so easy for them to come to our own country. I wonder why. To understand the current situation in Cape Town, I think it's best we watch like videos from actual Cape Townians, people who live in Cape Town, and South Africans, to see their perspective on the current influx of digital nomads in Cape Town, South Africa.
Repeat after me. We don't mean a damn thing to the city of Cape Town or the DA. Cape Town to host first ever Nomad Week in March 2025. The city of Cape Town is thrilled to announce that the first ever Nomad Week, a gathering of digital nomads and industry leaders from across the globe, will take place in March 2025. Cape Town has rapidly become the ultimate playground for digital nomads.
Now, I recently moved to Cape Town as a digital nomad.
Realistic day in my life as a digital nomad.
And we are supposed to afford to live in Cape Town as people who were born and raised. My mom was born and raised in Cape Town. I was born and raised in Cape Town. And I probably will never move out of home unless I live with someone else. Like, I cannot afford to compete against the euro and the pound and the dollar. It is so... Please go away. I can't believe a sandwich costs 70 Rand at Vida. Like, please leave our city. Please go away. Please. Juice, this big, 60 Rand. For my niece and I to have coffee in the morning, it is now 120 rand, South African rands. Please go away. Please leave our city. We don't want you here. I'm so sorry. Tourism aside, please go away. Go live in your own countries. We can't afford you.
Let's talk about digital nomads in Cape Town and why it's a problem. The government is considering amending or creating a new digital nomad visa, specifically for people who want to do remote work for overseas companies and move to South Africa while they're doing that. These people will not be paying any taxes to the South African government, but they will still be using South Africa's resources. They'll be bringing their pounds and their dollars here and they'll use it for cost of living, but they will not really truly be contributing to the economy of South Africa. This means they'll be taking up spaces that locals could otherwise be in, driving property prices up, driving grocery prices up. Because if you have somebody who's here to pay in pounds and they're paying 15,000 Rand in rent, which is already insane as a local South African to be paying for a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom in Cape Town or in Joburg, that's peanuts for them. They can do that, no problem. And they would prefer for them to bring their pounds and dollars here and live as a higher class citizen and live a 5-star lifestyle on a 3-star budget, which is how I saw one of these nomads put it. When I was in Bali a couple of years ago, I was there on scholarship, and when you speak to the locals, they do not like the fact that they're literally being priced out of their own city. They can't afford to live there anymore because of how many foreigners are living there, and the foreigners can of course afford these prices because they are coming here with a currency that's stronger than theirs. But locals actually cannot afford to live in their own cities anymore, and it's actually ridiculous. So we need to oppose this bill. The inequality in South Africa is already rampant, and this is only going to exacerbate that. One argument I saw was people saying, well, this is the same rhetoric that you don't like when we speak about foreigners, and this is the same kind of xenophobia that you don't like when we speak about, Zimbabweans coming to our country and Nigerians coming to our country. It's literally not. It's really not the same thing. Those people are not coming here to steal jobs. They're coming here to afford a living. They're not coming here for a lifestyle change. South Africans love tourists as much as the next country. We've always welcomed tourists, but this is a different kind of story. When you prioritize tourism over locals and locals' needs and what we actually require to survive, that's a massive problem. And we already know that Cape Town is not great with equality and giving people what they need. They only care about a certain type of people. So
just when you thought living in Cape Town couldn't get any more difficult, it's about to get a lot worse. So Time Out has voted Cape Town as the best city in the world for 2025. 18,500 of their global residents, whatever that means, have voted on 44 various criteria, and Cape Town has ranked number 1. Side note, I find it hilarious that one of the criteria was affordability, because for who? Because it's not for us anymore. I'm really trying to not think about the negative effects that are going to happen as a result of this, but if the Airbnb logo updates at this point, don't be surprised if Table Mountain's in the background.
The rest of the world together here now that the Americans are asleep. South Africans in particular, we need to talk. Joburgers, Cape Townians, you're in danger, girl. The digital nomads are coming. I fear Rebecca, Kimberly, Bloom, you're in danger too. We've got to close the doors. We've got to close the doors. Like, the cost of everything is already sky high. We can't let them in.
The thing is, we've always been welcoming. South Africa needs tourism. Obviously, we do need a tourism industry. But what happens when it's no longer about tourism, but now it's people who come from more wealthier countries, who have a stronger currency, who don't reciprocate this relationship of giving back? It's so hard to get movement into these countries like the US or Europe, but we are like just making it easy for them to come here. For me, my issue is that also, as we have seen with the videos, prices are increasing for the locals. Prices are increasing for the locals, from simple things like going to get food, simple things like rental prices, getting an apartment. These things I'm always like, okay, for the digital nomads, it's obviously cheaper. You hear people like Iman Ghazi saying that, oh, it's so cheap, it's so affordable, I couldn't even spend, I couldn't even finish my money. That type of tone deaf narrative when actual South Africans struggle to even afford a flight to Cape Town. Flights to Cape Town are so expensive now. It's also the realization that there is priority for international people, there is priority for the foreigners over the issues that have not been sorted. It's like basically, let's make sure the visitors are okay, but the children are still hungry. It's like inviting visitors to your house and making sure that the visitors eat well, they are sorted, they are comfortable, but you've neglected your own children. Cape Town is beautiful. We know this. Cape Town is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful cities in South Africa. But there's still issues in Cape Town that have not been sorted. When I've been to Cape Town numerous times, I've noticed something. Table Mountain is built in such a way that it hides the poverty of Cape Town. So if you go on each side of the Table Mountain, one side of the Table Mountain is when you come from the airport, you see the shacks and all that, the poverty. And then on the other side of the mountain, this is where luxury is. This is where the apartments are. This is where the beautiful Cape Town, the tourist attraction is. And it is in that space that's already hard for the majority of South Africans to even afford to live in that area. And now it's been made even more impossible to stay there. And I don't want to promote any kind of racist undertones with this, but we all know that as soon as this problem starts hitting a certain demographic, a certain racial demographic, when they are now also struggling to find housing, that's when there might be alarm bells ringing, because it's already happening now. And for me, it's like, why are they getting so many special treatments as digital nomads to come to our country? It's like, you haven't sorted out your house first, you haven't done your bed first, but now you're inviting people over to the house. And we've always accepted tourism in South Africa, we've always have, but this is a very different kind of thing. It's like, come here, don't pay tax, and live in luxury and increase the rental prices, increase the standards of living here, increase the prices of affordability. What message is that sending to the locals? Because salaries are obviously not increasing, but you're increasing the prices of everything. I wanted to understand, who does this benefit? Who does this benefit? This high influx of digital nomads. Does it benefit the people, the poor people, or does it benefit like Airbnb, hotels, property owners? Who does it benefit? So I watched a video from the Cape Town mayor, Jordine Lewis, I think, Jordine Hill Lewis, on the Sizwe Mpofu Walsh channel, and I just got a few minutes of the conversation. If you want the rest of the conversation, obviously I will link everything down below, but I want us to watch the video first, and I will give my opinion about who does it benefit when digital nomads come to Cape Town or South Africa in general.
National focus on what's happening and how we turn this around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should not accept failure. We must fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the interesting things that it seems to me you're grappling with in Cape Town now is the consequences of that success. So as you say, a lot of people wanting to move there, which means that congestion is up.
Yes.
And because it's now a destination where people want to go, you're dealing with the consequences of that. It's becoming an international destination, so that means that people come with dollars and with euros, and there's this cry that things are getting very expensive in Cape Town. How do you respond to those concerns and complaints about how, as Cape Town becomes more attractive, in some ways it also maybe becomes more unattainable for the ordinary residents?
So I always say the problems of success are better than the problems of failure. So both of those conditions bring their own issues, but I would much rather deal with the problems of success.
Sure.
When something is highly desired and in strong demand, the price of that thing rises, and so there is affordability concerns about property in Cape Town. The way to address that is not to take the approach that has been taken in many other cities in the world, almost universally without any success. In fact, often with the perverse outcome of actually making land and property even more scarce. So you do not try to manipulate the demand side of the market. You have to stimulate the supply side of the market. And that is what we are trying to do in Cape Town. We currently are out for public comment on the most significant planning reform in the city in a long time, in more than a decade. And it will significantly ease supply and stimulate supply over the coming years, and hopefully make it much easier to obtain affordable accommodation in the city. That's in the private sector. Obviously, from the state side, we're also doing a lot of things to release city-owned land, the parcels of land that we own for affordable housing and social housing. We've released more in the last 2 years than in the 10 years prior to that combined.
Jordan Hill Lewis adds so many interesting points, which I agree with some, and some I'm still grappling with, like to unpack for myself, because yes, this is also personal, but I'm trying to untangle myself from the personal. In terms of what he said, Cape Town compared to Johannesburg, it's true, Cape Town compared to Johannesburg is actually way better. Like in terms of infrastructure, maintenance, the city is clean, the city is well maintained, it's well groomed, the structures in place to maintain the city of Cape Town. Beautiful, beautiful city. It rivals European cities. Like Cape Town is that girl. She is that mother. Like Cape Town is beautiful. When you come to the city, obviously we're not talking about the underside of Cape Town, because if you flip the underside, we'll see issues that have not been sorted out for a majority of the Black and colored community in Cape Town. Jordan mentioned that these are the issues of success, and my question is, success for who? Because as digital nomads come here, who are they spending? Where is their money going? As these digital nomads come here, their money is not going to the poor. It's obviously going to property. It's obviously going to lifestyle and leisure. It's going to resorts. It's going to hotels. It's going to all these industries that have obviously now prioritized international clients. Because if you're going to price things for an international market, you're obviously telling us a message. You're telling us that even though you guys are the majority as the locals, we really are not going to price things for you. We're going to price things for them. As much as you can say this is success for business owner, this is success for property owners, this is success for Airbnb, but it's not success for the majority of people. And that's the thing that I struggle to accept with this idea that, digital nomads coming to South Africa is benefiting the economy. Realistically speaking, have the issues been sorted first at home? Have we sorted our own issues before we are trying to now feed a new child who's coming to our country? I will never say tourists shouldn't come to South Africa. Obviously, we need them, but these long stays without any tax and rules and regulations are manipulated for them, but we don't get that same relationship or that same benefit. It surprises me. And why does this situation worry me? I have traveled places like Bali. And as I've traveled to places like Bali, I've seen situations that really hurt my feelings. Like I've seen a lot of things that I'm like, this is very much similar to what could potentially happen to South Africa. And I want us to watch a few videos and I will add my breakdown after the video.
I'm currently in Bali and it's stunning, but there's something deeply uncomfortable about the sheer volume of white Europeans living here without a lick of the language, not observing any traditions, customs, and not interacting with any Balinese people who aren't staff. Many of the white immigrant settlers, you're not expats, complain about things being slow and a bit broken, with that unmistakable stench of superiority when they had fast and polished at home, yet here they are. They weren't fleeing persecution, no civil war, no natural disaster. They chose to come here because they were fed up and a bit cold. The global north siphoned off the world's wealth to develop their countries into places no one wants to live anymore. Talk about an own goal. I doubt many white immigrants know how the Portuguese, then Dutch, fucked Indonesia up. Right up until 1949, after 3 centuries of occupation, ever wondered why Bali might be a bit rough around the edges? See, Europeans didn't leave the countries they invaded peacefully after a come to Jesus moment about invasion and genocide. In many countries before they were kicked out, white Europeans burnt everything to the ground. I'm talking livestock, schools, factories, poured cement down the water pipes and salted the earth so nothing would grow there again. It's beyond monstrous. So when these invaded nations finally claw themselves out of the devastation they were left in, what do Westerners do? They say, I'm going to take my laptop back to the countries we invaded and chase the people that survived us the first time out of their towns with my stable currency, strong from the wealth I stole from them last time I was there, because you know what this beautiful spiritual place needs? 4,000 overpriced coffee shops and EDM. And before anyone starts with, so we can't even travel now, have you ever tried getting a British tourist visa from a country like Indonesia? The cost alone makes the UK an impossible destination, so in true white supremacy style, there's no reciprocity. This is what people don't understand about racism. There are legal ways to separate, discriminate and obstruct people. You don't need a sign saying foreigners only if the cheapest thing on your menu, itself in a language the local people don't speak, costs about 2 weeks' wages. White people haven't come here to slip seamlessly into Indonesian society, speak the language, eat the food, not disrupt the way of life the way brown people must in every white country for peace. White people have come to recreate their own homes in someone else's. They've come for the land again. Granted, it isn't being stolen this time, but what else is being lost? Tell me how this is different to the first time round, except maybe the indigenous people get to live this time. Colonization, read invasion done by white people, never ended. It just keeps shape-shifting. On a government level by overseas territories, the Commonwealth, military coups, debt, South Africa. But the individual colonizer will always return to, first as a foreign investor, now as a digital nomad. Talk to me.
The expats in Bali are so unhinged. Outside of a gentrification issue, they are breaking the law. So we all know Bali right now is popping. And it's a really popular travel destination, but now it's starting to get to a point where digital nomads, expat community are wanting to stay there permanently. And according to the Indonesian Travel and Tourism Agency Board, ASITA, they have been observing that foreigners have been using rental accommodations as an office space. Not only that, they have been running tours and travel services around Bali. There are 2 main issues. One is these digital nomads are using these properties that are designed specifically for tourist accommodations as formal offices, which is violating the premises use. The second thing is that these digital nomads are using tourist and socio-cultural visas to conduct business activities. Like I'm flabbergasted. You cannot be doing that in someone else's country. ASITA is suggesting that some foreigners are even working themselves in roles such as guiding, running, and facilitating tours and retreats. Indonesian law is very clear that anyone on a tourist or sociocultural visa cannot conduct income-generating work while visiting the country. Y'all are mad crazy for this one. But it's okay, because your day is coming. The government sees y'all and sees what y'all doing, so you will be in an Indonesian prison very soon if you don't quit playing games in other people's countries.
I'm going to be very frank, but please, darlings, don't take this as an opportunity to be racist or send out racist sentiments, but I want us to actually look at things from an objective point of view when it comes to the Bali situation. Like, if you go to Bali, places like Canggu and Kuta are basically Europe. They're basically blonde and blue eyes. They're basically Europe not Cape Town, Europe in Bali. Like, when I went there, I was genuinely like, I'm coming here, I want to have a rich cultural experience, but Bali is no longer the place. You will go there for an authentic cultural experience of Balinese culture. Like, when I went there, I was like, wow, this is Europe. This is Europe. And I remember one experience that I had when I went to the rice fields in Ubud. And I remember I think I wanted to take a picture. I was with a friend and I wanted to take a picture in the rice fields. And I remember being told by a Caucasian lady, you're on my house, you're on my property, I remember I was just like, for me, that shocked me. It wasn't the fact that she was a little rude. It was the fact that, wow, they really own stuff in Bali. Like, money speaks. People, the digital nomads, the people from Australia, from European countries, America, they own stuff in these countries, whereas the people from these countries have been priced out. The people from Indonesia, the people from Bali have been priced out of their own cities. I remember taking a drive on a motorcycle and seeing the people, the original Balinese people. They live far away from the city in shanty like huts, like small huts away, or in rice fields. And I don't know, for me that's broke my heart, because it's the realization that this is the possibility. Because we already have a situation in South Africa. Hawaii is another example of a country that has obviously been dominated by Western countries and the buyers being bought out of your own homeland. So my worry is, I don't want to set off alarm bells, but I'm asking and I'm hoping with this awareness that we can be aware of the potential of what this means for us as South Africans. I believe that tourism should always be welcomed in the country, but I also just think there needs to be certain limitations for people who are visiting the country. Like, what could be a potential solution? Hear me out. I don't agree with all the policies in certain countries like the UAE, but I do believe that there are parts of their policies that can be useful to look at. Like, I was looking at the policies of Emiratization, and this is not to say that I want South Africa to become like the UAE. Obviously not. We're a democracy and they are more of a federate monarchy. So I want to use an analogy. Think of a pencil case. Pencil case has stationery, has your ruler, your pencils, your crayons, your scissors, your eraser, everything. I'm just saying we can take maybe a pencil or two from the UAE policies. That could be a solution. Taking 2 pencils out of 50 pencils. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because one thing I've noticed about the UAE, it prioritizes its citizens. Incentives are there for their citizens. Like, you get free housing if you're a citizen of the UAE. It's easier to buy property. You can buy property anywhere as long as you're a citizen of the UAE. And even things like businesses. If you run a business in the UAE as a foreigner, you have to have a UAE citizen in a very high position. Most high positions in that country are for the citizens. I don't think they tax. I don't think they tax, because I know that Dubai doesn't tax people. But most of the benefits are for its citizens. And you, as a foreigner, you spend more to live in those countries. In the UAE, they prioritize their people. Education is easy for them. You can get scholarships easy. Like, they've prioritized their own people. And I'm just asking myself, would it be a possibility to prioritize South Africans first, for us to get the benefits first? Like, for example, discounts or something for hotels, for resorts for South African. Can there be pricing that is exclusively for South Africans and pricing that is for expats or digital nomads? Other countries are already prioritizing their own people, and I'm just asking, why is it not possible to take maybe one or two things from other countries? We can learn a few things. And I'm not saying we should dismantle democracy. No. Like I said, a pencil or two from other policies like emiratization. That's a very big word. Yeah. Okay, darling, if you see me squinting, this is random. If you see me squinting, I can't see properly. I'm not wearing glasses or contact lenses today. But yeah, I was just curious, what could be the solutions? And the only thing that came to mind is prioritizing the citizens of a country first before we feed or welcome the visitors. So, darlings, what do you think? How do you feel about the high influx of digital nomads in Cape Town, South Africa? Because we know it's going to move to other cities of South Africa. And how do you feel about this? Are we worried? Is this going to cause issues for us in the future when people from the outside are prioritized over the citizens of the country? Let me know, what do you think? And let me know, what solutions do you think could be for this current issue? If you watched the video till this part, please leave a plain emoji in the comment section, and I'd really appreciate it if you watched the ads. It really motivates me to make more videos. And thank you for watching, darling. Bye-bye.